Hello and good afternoon. Before I begin my presentation, I'd like you to look at the words on the screen. For most of us, words such as away, I'm, prettier, and until come naturally to us. For most of us, we can read them without a second thought. However, for one out of five Texas adults cannot read words from a third grade high-frequency word list, a list designed for children ages of 8 entering the third grade. And that not only is this a problem for themselves, but for you and I as well. Hello, my name is Samantha, and I am a organizer for Austin First Book, a nonprofit organization directed toward helping fight illiteracy in not only the U.S., but also in the Austin area of Texas as well. Before I worked at First Book, I was a teacher assistant at a volunteer summer school reading and writing program during the summers. And this program was directed toward children ages 5 to 10 to help them read phonetically through reading. And although this program was a very good idea, I realized that most children, especially those in low-income families, weren't able to afford this type of education. And I realized that once children, although they may go to public schools, once children leave school, they have nothing, when they go back home, they have nothing to stimulate learning again. But by promoting reading to younger generations, to these group of children, we hope to decrease the literacy rate in the U.S. I'll begin by explaining what First Book is striving for in terms of the literacy in terms of how illiteracy has impacted the U.S., our literacy campaign, and how your donation of 50,000 books can help make the difference in the life of a child. Now, I'll begin by highlighting how the effect of illiteracy in America. For most of you, one of the biggest criticisms you hear from international market is that America is not working to promote literacies. So you'll hear conversations that, oh, the children in China can read at a higher reading level than children in America, and so on. And although these aren't proven by statistics, I've noticed that in the Huffington Post, from over the past 10 years, there has been no improvement in the literacy rate in the U.S., meaning that since 2003, the same percentage and group of people in America are still illiterate. And to put it closer to home, in Texas, in the recent survey earlier in February of this year, Texas is ranked one of the lowest states in the U.S. with the lowest literacy rates, along with California and Florida. So as seen in the visual, you can see that Texas is currently in the blue region, meaning that there's a 15 to 19% of Texans that can't read at their appropriate reading level. And the current number we have is that Texas is at a 19% illiteracy rate, meaning that, going back to statistics, 1 out of 5 Texans aren't able to read at their age level. Now, although this illiteracy seems like a daunting problem, we at First Book are trying to get to the root of the problem by targeting children. So I'll begin by explaining what Austin First Book is trying to go for. Austin First Book has been around for approximately 20 years, and during those 20 years, we've donated about 100 million books to children in low-income families and also to after-school programs. For First Book Austin is a newer part of the First Book organization that also targets the 17% of people living in the Austin area that are deemed are at or below the poverty line. Although First Book is not well known, we are a volunteer organization, meaning that the money that we get, that's donated to us, and the money that in the books that are donated to us never go to any of the employees, but instead that the books go directly to the families in need, which is one of their benefits. So many might be concerned, does the money go to? Does it go to some person working? But in the first book, we never keep any of the money. That is why we're asking for a book donation instead of a money donation, since it'd be easier for us to obtain a book donation and thus hand it over to a family with children that want to read, or a organization that wants to promote reading in their schools. However, although, since we're focusing on children, another problem that we see is that although kids may not have or don't have sufficient amount of books to motivate them learning, they also don't have books of interest to them. As noticed in the pie chart, the second greatest factor is that with a 19%, children do not have access to quality books, meaning that although McDonald's may provide them with a small sticker book, the book only remains entertaining for so long, meaning that once they read it for so many times, they get tired of it and throw it out. So with first book, we are hoping to get books that not only are